7.5 million U.S. businesses, from restaurants to mechanic shops to real estate firms, use TikTok to grow. Together, they employ more than 28 million people. Because when small businesses thrive, communities do too. Small businesses thrive on TikTok. Learn more at TikTokeconomicimpact.com. Yes.
Howdy, Mr. Kirk. How are you doing today? Good. All right, a couple things. I'll make it really quick. So first thing I disagree with you on, Mr. Kirk, is, I don't know, there's this viral video going around on the internet. Some guy's talking to you about 9/11, and your rebuttal to that was, oh, well, they found their passports. Do you know who did the attacks? Like, do you believe Al-Qaeda did that?
I did not say the passports for the record, but the passports admittedly are the most suspicious part of the entire situation, but that doesn't necessarily mean the Israeli government planned the attack. Right.
So who do you attribute to Building 7 just like collapsing into its own
footprint? It's a really good question. I don't know. And in fact, you're allowed to be the position of not knowing. That was always my position. So I actually am batting down ulterior theories, and you could still not know. So,
is it bad to like consider perhaps the Israeli government was behind
it? Okay, so let's build that out. I want to. So in your favor, you would say that there were 5 Israelis that were, by an eyewitness, that were dancing when they saw.
Dancing Israelis.
No, I mean, that's the thing, right? They were questioned by the FBI and then sent back to Israel. They did a television interview where one of them said something a little bit questionable, but not quite a smoking gun.
We were sent there to document the event.
I got it. I'm giving you your argument, right? The event.
Yeah.
But now the burden of proof is on you or your general position. Were there planes that were hijacked? And if yes, who was flying those planes?
That's a false premise because aluminum airplanes cannot melt steel beams, Charlie.
Yeah, I got that. But
Al-Qaeda terrorists.
Back up. Did the planes hit the towers?
Sure.
Okay, but so planes were hijacked at some point.
For sure, yeah.
So whether for show or whether theatrics or whether for the actual intent, I need to know, in the theory that it was the Israeli government, who did the hijacking?
I don't think the hijacking is where we need to be looking. I think we
No, but you got to answer the question, though, because the burden of proof, that's really important, right? That's a fundamental part of the entire story, is that there were a couple planes that were hijacked in midair. And so how did that happen? Was it spontaneous? Was it planned? And if so, who would give up their life willingly to go fly a plane into a tower? Well, a radical Muslim would, so tell me who else would do that.
Well, I don't think we really know who hijacked the planes. The only thing we have to go off of is the passports that the FBI found on ground zero,
right?
Respect.
I think that is sus. I got it. But the point being is, no, the passports are the weirdest part of the whole thing.
Pretty weird.
That out of all, like everything gets incinerated and all of a sudden they find passports on the ground. I get it.
Yeah.
However, I don't think we're in a position to make like anywhere close to say, oh, it was the Israeli government because we found passports on the ground, right? If your whole argument is that there were 5 Israelis dancing.
That's not my whole argument.
Oh, then build out the whole argument.
Yeah, so leading up to this attack on the Twin Towers, are you familiar with the art group, the Israeli art group, I might add? They go by Gelatin. Have you heard of them?
No, were they one of the people in the towers that weren't there that day, or?
No, you're thinking of Larry Silverstein, who was on the record of saying, I had a compelling urge to own the buildings, because he purchased the buildings very soon before the terror attacks. I'm referring to the Israeli art group.
No,
Sorry, Charlie. Yeah, so look it up. They go by Gelatin. You can find it in the archives on the internet. They had this art project. It was literally called the B Thing. B as in Bravo, the B Thing. Kind of suspicious, right? These people were given unfeathered access to both Twin Towers when even employees who clocked in and clocked out there every day did not have access to the building like these people did. They had harnesses. There's pictures of them because this was their art project, right? So it's very well documented. You can see them moving giant boxes into the towers. And their whole stunt, the reason they did that was to hang a mannequin, supposedly, out of one of the windows. I don't think it lines up. I think they spent a lot more time in there.
I don't know about that.
Look into it. Look into it. Seriously.
Again, I'm open-minded for every theory. I think it's. Can you agree? Maybe not. That it's really damaging to say. Therefore, it must be. And it was even more on top of it. The man in question in that video said it was the Jews. So not even that it was the Israeli government.
Well, I'm not saying that.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that's where my response was prompted. Like, come on.
I hear you.
Now, got it. But you got to deal with the hijackers. You got to deal with Flight 93. And you also got to deal with one other component. Osama bin Laden took credit for it, and he blamed America's love of Israel for the reason that 9/11 happened. So were we like working with bin Laden? Was it a CIA plant? Now we're getting like really deep, right?
Well, yeah, it can go pretty deep, and that's why
I'm asking, what is the theory? And
so the theory is, right, bin Laden was definitely an asset. There's multiple videos of him dancing to Katy Perry. There's pictures of him playing Counter-Strike on his computer.
That
in
doesn't
his
mean he's
cave, right?
not
I
everyone
don't
who plays
know, it means, like,
Counter-Strike
what
is a
kind of-
CIA asset,
What
okay?
kind of Al-Qaeda terrorist would do those kind of things? What kind of Al-Qaeda terrorist is westernized like that, you know?
We know from his hard drive he was a real sick puppy.
Definitely, no
Yeah.
doubt. No doubt about that, Charlie.
So-
but I would encourage you to look into gelatin and the bee thing.
I'll look into that.
Because I think that's more important than the planes, because a plane didn't hit Building 7, but it still
You
collapsed.
are correct, but we can agree planes did hit the two towers. Now, some people say there was only one plane or there weren't planes. That's complete
Who's to
BS.
say? Who's to say?
No,
Right?
it's
yeah.
BS. We know families that had people on those planes, the real manifest,
Yeah.
real people you could talk to. It's not fake. That's legit. There were passengers on these planes, and they died and they perished. So we have to figure that out.
I hear you.
The best argument is the passports in Building 7. Those two things have never made sense to me.
Likewise, Charlie, we can agree there.